Hey guys, it's me, Anthony Bunton, and this is my multicultural population presentation on the Hmong culture. So, you're probably asking yourself why I chose the Hmong population. And that's a good question. I didn't choose it because I thought it would be easy. It hasn't been. And I didn't choose it because I thought I would be able to bring you the best or most knowledgeable presentation. I wish that were true, but there just simply isn't enough time in 30 minutes to be able to do that, or enough time in my busy schedule for me to be able to do all that research necessary. Uh, but I am going to try my best. No, it's none of that. I chose the Hmong population because I want to be the best counselor that I can, and I want to be able to help as many people as I can, and proficiently. It's with some amount of shame that I have to admit that I had little to no awareness of the Hmong people as a distinct group of people apart from other Asian people until last year. Um, I was going to go into a little bit more about why that's the case, but I just don't have time here to do so. Anyways, not only am I ignorant about their culture, but since I moved to St. Paul last year, I've had the honor of getting to know several young Hmong people, and that made them real for me. Despite my thinking that I've ran into a good number of Hmong people now, it really hit me last year when I was at an NA meeting with a Hmong housemate of mine, and he hadn't been there before, and he asked me, "I wonder if there'll be any other Hmong people here," and I was a little slow to process, and I was like, "What?" And he explained that there weren't any other Hmong people there yet, and he thought he might end up being the only one, and that this is a fairly common problem for him. It made me realize it must be lonely in a way that I can't quite understand. And it made me think back to the one Hmong person who I had recently had in my group at IOP, and he had talked about some unique attributes about his culture, how the weddings go on for multiple days and drinking throughout them are customary. Uh, he's explained how he was married to three women at the same time. Um, and although this is an intriguing idea, his unhappiness with the situation did not sell it as an ideal arrangement. And it even sparked some concern in me for the Hmong culture. It seemed like a recipe for unhappiness. So I got to questioning the sanity of culture that could promote such a toxic situation as he had fallen into. All right, let me give you a quick rundown of what this presentation is going to be like. First off, I'll introduce the population. I will give some origins, go through a brief history, give you a feeling of where they're coming from. Um, I'll go through some demographics. Hopefully, we'll have time for a video. I'll go into some cultural characteristics, history of drug use, give you some strengths that they have, some treatment methods you can utilize, some programs that you'll want to keep in mind, um, some things I think you should know, and some counseling skills that are going to be key in treating these clients. And then I'll sum it up quick at the end. Getting an accurate and comprehensive history about the Hmong people seems all but impossible. Most of their history has been passed on through spoken teachings and incorporated into their art. For example, their history is literally woven into some of their ceremonial garments. Historically, the Hmong language was primarily spoken. They didn't adopt a formal writing system until 1950. The Hmong are an ethnic group with ancient roots in Asia, though just how ancient and the location of their earliest known whereabouts are somewhat debated among scholars. Chinese texts, as well as Hmong oral tradition, inform us that the Hmong people originate from areas of central northern China around the Yangtze and Yellow River basins, with one source claiming they originated from Mongolia in 2300 BCE. I believe this is because the Yellow River runs through modern-day Inner Mongolia. While that source suggests their origins to be from somewhere around 2300 BCE, other sources believe that their history predates even that. The Minnesota Historical Society places them in these two river regions from 4000 BCE to 3000 BCE. Historically, the Hmong people have been industrious farmers. They are counted among the first to have cultivated rice and spread the crop throughout the country. Traditionally, the Hmong people utilized techniques like slash-and-burn agriculture for subsistence farming. Subsistence farming means generating enough food for the family and having little to no surplus left for trade. Slash-and-burn agriculture involves burning to clear the land and enrich the soil with the nutrients from the pre-existing vegetation, and then using that land for a short period to grow crops and abandoning it maybe around 50 years later, allowing it to again regenerate. The Han, or simply referred to in modern times as the Chinese, today are the largest ethnic group in the world at over 1.4 billion people, and they account for nearly 92% of China's people. Historically, Miao was a term applied by the Han to a variety of non-Han people, which includes the Hmong people. The Miao people have been trying to escape persecution for thousands of years. Eventually, I believe around 2600 BCE, the Hmong people, or their ancestors, were driven out of the Yellow River Valley by the Han. The Miao who didn't die and weren't assimilated through Han colonization continued their migration south and southwest to escape persecution. Over the centuries, they came to settle in the provinces of Yunnan, Guizhou, Sichuan, and Hunan of China and Tibet. The Hmong people lived relatively independently for thousands of years, however, paying tribute to the oppressive Chinese government which ruled over them. In the 1800s, facing political persecution and depleted soil fertility, many Hmong migrated to Southeast Asia, settling in the mountains of northern Burma, Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. In the 1960s and 70s, Hmong people fought alongside the United States during the Vietnam War and the CIA's secret war in Laos. After the war, many fled to Thailand. Those who survived of the Hmong refugees started arriving in the U.S. in 1975. From the best information I could find, this is how the Hmong people are dispersed across the world right now, with 368,000 roughly in the USA. The 6 million in China is most likely referencing the Miao people, who are not all going to identify as Hmong, most likely. And on this slide, we can see the cultural dispersal of the Hmong people in the United States. The city with the greatest number of Hmong people per capita is St. Paul, And the Twin Cities Metro is home to the largest population of Hmong people in the United States at 74,000. Um, Minnesota alone has 94,000 of the Hmong people, um, which is right there on par with California, and Wisconsin is trailing along. Uh, there's a significant number of uh, Hmong people in the Milwaukee region of Wisconsin. And here we have the gender dispersal here in Minnesota of the Hmong people. It's pretty even, as you can see. And here we have an age demographic for Hmong in Minnesota. Yeah, take a second to look that over. I'm not going to read it all to you. Um, yeah. Three cultural characteristics that are very important to acknowledge and work around, or work with, I should say, when we're dealing with Hmong clients, are their collectivism. Really important to acknowledge how important family is, um, and involve them as much as possible, even if they may not want to acknowledge the um, nature of the treatment, as they may consider it shameful. Then there's their spiritual nature. Traditionally, they have a very rich spiritual nature, um, a very rich spiritual tradition. Um, I've heard it described as animistic, shamanist. Uh, yeah, they traditionally have turned to shamanism for healing, and they may find it important to still incorporate this even alongside their Western, more Western practices. It's important to acknowledge this if it's important to them. Um, and yet, since the Hmong's migration into Southeast Asia, uh, Christian missionaries have uh, assimilated some of the Hmong population into Christianity as well. So there is that to consider as well. Um, and and then you have the ancestral spirits. They'll do ceremonial offerings to the ancestral spirits, and they're very enthralled in a very spiritual world where they don't want to upset the spirits, and they're afraid of um, spirits stealing their souls or the souls of their children. They'll do um, when a baby's born, they'll refrain from calling it cute. They may even say, "Oh, what an ugly baby," to try to trick the spirits. Um, so that um, quite superstitious, and I would take that very seriously. Um, in consideration, they really believe it. So you want to take it seriously. Um, Historically, very patriarchal gender roles, and still to this day, greatly, that is the pattern. Though, since moving to the U.S., women have gained a lot more authority um, in a lot of situations, and this has caused some um, upset in the community as well, um, with showing an uptick in domestic violence as a result in some situations. Among history of drug use, they have a history of opium cultivation. They use it to treat muscle aches after a hard day's work or to treat injury. Um, in the past, sometimes women have used it uh, specifically for suicide, um, to escape the situations they're forced into sometimes, unfortunately. Um, and then, as I mentioned earlier, excessive alcohol consumption is traditional in Hmong wedding ceremonies and is encouraged. I read about the the bride's family serving drinks to the groom until he can't drink anymore, and then he's given one more for good measure. And if he can't finish it, um, it's a bad omen. But on the other hand, opium abuse is very looked down upon in their culture, uh, and it brings shame and is associated with poverty. Um, it is a little surprising with a history of cultivation that less than 10% of Hmong are affected by opium dependence. Yeah, for their strengths, they just have a strong sense of purpose, the belief in their spiritual and their sense of connection with their ancestors gives them this purpose. It's important to acknowledge that, if they have the ability to acknowledge that, and also with their gender roles and their clan system, they have a strong sense of duty to the family. Here are some treatment methods that I thought might be useful. One study found that the opium and an opium-addicted Hmong population responded better than average to methadone treatment. And I I found incorporating traditional healing practices was associated with better treatment outcomes, as well as involving family in the treatment process. Um, then there's the mention of culturally driven cognitive behavioral therapy. Um, you can only imagine. Here are a couple programs that I thought are really great resources that you may want to tap into for yourself or for clients you're trying to serve. The Hmong Cultural Center is an abundant fountain of culture for the community. Their goal is to celebrate and nourish Hmong culture. They teach music, dance, and ceremonial arts. They are powerful allies for immigrants and refugees and can help support them with free English classes and citizenship classes. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more about Hmong history and culture, the Hmong Cultural Center is the place to do it. whether it's through the online classes that they offer, a visit to their museum, or a trip to their library, which is called the site of the most comprehensive collection of Hmong-related literature in North America. You can rest assured that you will be well informed. This is an invaluable resource for Hmong people where they can go and deepen their cultural appreciation and sense of connection to their roots and ties to their larger cultural community. Then we have the Hmong American Partnership. The Hmong American Partnership is a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering the Hmong communities here in the Twin Cities. They do this by embracing the strengths of the ethnic cultures that they serve. They are strong advocates for the rich heritage of Hmong culture. They seek to strengthen the neighborhoods and communities of the people they serve through supporting housing, community, and economic development opportunities. Hmong American Partnership provides customized job training, connects people with employment services, can help with money management, will help with business development, and even provides loans to economically disadvantaged clients from the immigrant and refugee communities who want to start and expand a business. Hmong American Partnership also offers Hmong American Partnership recovery support. HAP provides early intervention and prevention through individual counseling and support groups for adults who have completed treatment for drug and alcohol abuse. They work with individuals, families, and local community members to help heal wounds and move forward. Some things I think you should know. Very defined gender roles. Um, yeah, so I can't go into it too much, but as I said, this is being challenged a little bit in America, and it's causing some unrest with increases in domestic violence. Um, so that may be something that you run into, unfortunately. Another thing is they marry very young historically, as early as 13 years old in some cases. Um, you may hear, it's becoming a little less common now, you may hear about kidnappings. Um, this is usually just a euphemism, but in extreme cases it isn't. And women are literally forced into marriage. Uh, yeah, they're historically repressed without given much of a voice in the home or their communities. Though this changes a bit as they get older. Um, Again, they're very superstitious. I wouldn't underestimate it. I would expect it, respect it, and if you're going to their house, ask before you enter if it's okay if you enter. You don't want to disturb their household spirits. You don't want to call their children, their baby, cute. They, if the spirits catch on, they will be afraid that their baby soul will be stolen. They're very private towards outsiders, so it may be hard for you to get them to open up and talk about the shameful for them subject, for many at least, of substance um, use and abuse. Um, Proper etiquette is very important to them. They have very traditional ways of dealing with people. It's if you go over to their house, even if you're not hungry, just take the food, even if you only have one or two bites. If you don't take the food, they're gonna stand up and stop eating. Just it's it's very ingrained into them due to their reserved nature, their apprehension to share the intimate details of their life with people outside of their family, outside of their clan. Um, Engaging is going to be especially important with among clients. Uh, Reflecting, uh, showing that you can empathize with whatever you do get. Very important that you don't shut down even difficult feelings, as Francois mentioned. Shame is a common feeling in the community, and yeah, and of course we're going to want to do a very thorough assessment of them in the first place to find out just how much their cultural ties affect them. For example, the traumatic history, the thousands of years of oppression and recent oppression, um, how that may still be affecting them, how it's ingrained maybe into their very culture, maybe something it makes things even more difficult to open up. Patterns of shame. Uh, I think uh, their spiritual superstitions may play into this to some degree. Shame may be something that they actually value very much. If they feel a strong sense of shame from their ancestor, um, it's something that they don't actually want to overlook. It's trying to tell them something. So I would be just curious and reflective and try to help them process what they want to process. Um, Despite the shame, they are very proud people, and I encouraging cultural immersion, I think, would be very helpful throughout the process, incorporating their family, incorporating traditional healing practices. Remember, it's okay not to know uh, how to address their problem, especially with like complex things like shame, as Francois was talking about, and as well if opioids are their problem, that MAT may be a good thing for them to consider, um, uh, in addition to their traditional healing practices. And here are my sources. Yeah, thanks for checking this out. Hope you got something out of it. Thanks.